Ashley is a stewardess. She finds this cute puppy running around in the airport. 3 people come over and claim to be its owner. Can you guess who's telling the truth? This guy. His tattoo matches the dog's name. Ashley walks to her flight gate and passes by this waiting area. But then the gate changes, so she has to walk through that place once again. Ashley spots 10 differences. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley is checking passengers' passports before letting people on board. Suddenly, the security service calls her with a warning. One of the passengers is using a fake ID. Ashley finds 3 suspects. Can you spot the fake passport out? There's no February 31st, so this passport is definitely fake. Finally, the plane is taking off. Ashley takes a look at the passengers and spots 3 odd things. Can you see them too? This lady has 2 safety belts. This guy is talking on the phone. It should be put in airplane mode. And the view behind this window doesn't match reality. There's no hot lunch on this flight, but you can buy it additionally. The price for chicken is set at $15, and the beef costs $12. Can you guess the price of a fish lunch? The cost of one vowel is $5, and the cost of a consonant, $1. Fish has 3 consonants and 1 vowel, so it costs $8. One of the passengers, Josh, calls Ashley. He begins to complain. Someone had stolen my phone when I was in the toilet. Ashley questions 3 people sitting nearby. What happened when Josh was away? Chelsea says, "Sorry, I was watching a movie, so I didn't look around at all." Bobby says, "I was reading a book, but I think I heard the sound of a rustled plastic bag." And Nina says, "I was sleeping. You woke me up with your stupid questions. Who stole the phone?" Nobody. It's still in Jeff's pocket. Ashley checks the business class passengers and spots 1 witch among them. Can you see her too? This lady is hiding a magic wand. Ashley lands in a foreign country and sends her boyfriend this message. Can you guess what country she's in? Singapore. Ashley goes to her hotel by train. She sees these 2 billboards on the way. She can't decide if they're identical. Can you spot any differences? In fact, there are 5 differences. Ashley goes to the local restaurant. There's an open kitchen, and she can see the chef at work. Ashley makes an order and leaves for the ladies' room for a while. When she returns, she spots 10 differences in the kitchen. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley sees a group of office workers having lunch together. Suddenly, their boss spills hot coffee on his laptop because his palm is stuck to his mug. One of these 3 co-workers prank their boss. Can you guess who? It's the lady in the middle. She's wearing double-sided tape as a bracelet. Suddenly, one of the guests in the restaurant faints. The manager calls an ambulance. The doctors arrive very quickly and take him to the hospital. The police question witnesses. The cook says, "This guy didn't order any food. He just asked for a glass of water." The waitress says, "He looked so gloomy. I decided to cheer him up and served his water in a silver glass." The manager says, "He called us in advance to reserve a table in the corner. He insisted that I must send him an official invitation." And the cleaner says, "I saw him washing hands in the restroom. I swear he didn't have any reflection." Can you guess what happened here? The guest was a vampire, and he got sick because of the silver. Ashley is visiting the local farmer's market. A group of tourists asks her to take their pictures. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? This lady. She's eating a pomegranate with the peel. Ashley wants to chill at this beautiful beach, but she sees a zombie among the guests. Can you spot it too? It's this guy who's reading a book upside down. Ashley goes hiking and gets lost. She finds a sign that shows 3 possible ways out. Unfortunately, each path hides some danger. There's a toxic marsh that swallows people on the first path. The second path is a hunting place for vampires. And the third path holds thousands of venomous snakes. Which way is more or less safe? Ashley should choose the second path. Vampires only hunt at night. Ashley, Nellie, Sarah, and Melissa are coworkers and friends. They land in Paris and come to a party together. But at a certain point, they find out that Ashley had disappeared. She was locked in the basement of the music hall. Can you guess who did it? It was Melissa. Pink sequins from her fancy dress lay by the door. Ashley receives this rebus from her boss. Can you guess which country is her next destination? She's going to Belgium. Ashley is packing her bags for the trip. How many emojis can you see here? Here they are. Ashley is having breakfast at the airport. Can you find any emojis in this food? There are 3, actually. In the waiting area, Ashley meets her old school friend, Kelly. They go to the local coffee shop to chat. Suddenly, Kelly begins to yell, "Please help me! My suitcase is gone!" Ashley questions 3 witnesses. One of the passengers, Paul, says, "This is my suitcase. I've already wrapped it in plastic to protect it from scratches." Nina says, "I went to the restroom and asked the barista to look after my luggage." And the barista says, "I looked after Nina's luggage and I didn't look around. Sorry." Can you figure out the thief? It's Paul. There's a sticker with Kelly's name under the plastic. Ashley enters the plane. There's an imposter among the flight crew. Can you help Ashley find this person? It's this stewardess. Take a look at her uniform. The air company logo is a little different compared to all the others. Ashley lands in Brussels. She walks into the local park and takes 2 pictures. Can you find 10 differences between them? Here they are. A motorbike rider asks Ashley to take his picture. She takes two. Are they identical? There are three differences, actually. In the hotel, Ashley meets an opera diva, Esmeralda, who's having a world tour. She has visited almost all the countries, and she has finally arrived at the last one.
Oh, no.
In the morning, a maid finds Esmeralda unconscious in her room. The police arrive and find out that Esmeralda was poisoned. They question the suspects. Esmeralda's husband says, "She wanted to be in bed early, so I went to the lobby for the night." Esmeralda's manager says, "I was in my room all evening. I was preparing for the concert." And the hotel waitress says, "I only brought her juice in the evening. She was fine." The police check fingerprints in the room and find many prints on the glass. Who poisoned Esmeralda? It was the manager. She said she didn't leave the room, but there are prints on the glass. In the morning, Ashley is having her next flight, but her taxi breaks on the way. She's stuck at the gas station 50 miles away from the airport. Three drivers stop, offering to give Ashley a ride. Which car would you choose? The first car is stolen, and the third driver is a runaway criminal, so Ashley should choose the second car. Ashley returns home and puts all her cash into her stash as usual. The next evening, she returns home and realizes that someone had stolen her money. How did she guess? Ashley's cash was in the globe. Its parts don't match anymore. Somebody opened it when Ashley was out.
Mrs. Collins went on a business trip, and her daughter Ella stayed in the house alone. Of course, the girl wanted to invite some friends over. Her mother knew it was inevitable, so she permitted Ella to invite no more than 2 friends. Mrs. Collins also asked a neighbor to keep an eye on her daughter. Here's what the neighbor saw when she approached the house. Is Ella following her mother's instructions? There are 5 cars parked by the house. Assuming that one of them belongs to Ella, there are at least 4 more girls in the house, but possibly even more. In any case, Ella invited over way more people than she was allowed to. Jason received a letter from a girl wanting to ask him out. Unfortunately, the letter wasn't signed, so he didn't know who the girl was. He only knew that it must be someone from his class. Take a look around. Which girl sent him the note? The letter is written in purple ink. Look, that girl over there has a purple pen, so she must be the secret admirer. Detective Callum got a call from a local store selling branded shoes. A pair of their expensive high-heeled shoes appeared to have been stolen. Unfortunately, the cameras didn't work that day and the footage wasn't available. But there was a camera at the entrance taking photos of people walking in and walking out of the store. Who is the robber? It's this woman. Look, she's gotten taller on her way out, probably because she's wearing the shoes. A police officer was following a robber around the city. Suddenly, the robber entered the hospital and disappeared. When the police officer entered the building, there were 3 workers. One of them must be a robber who was pretending to be a patient. Can you identify this person? It definitely can't be this pregnant woman, and I doubt it's this old man. This man seems to be blind, but where is his stick then? I bet it's the robber who's wearing shades to pretend to be blind and draw away the police officer's suspicions. Take a look at these 3 people. One of them isn't a human. But who? It's this woman. Look, the hand behind her head is green. Avery was walking in a forest late at night. There was the full moon and she encountered 3 werewolves. Well, actually just 2, because one of them isn't a real werewolf. Which one? It's this one right here. Look, there's a zipper, so he's obviously wearing a costume. Okay, now take a look at this photo of people in a restaurant. One of them is a vampire hunter in disguise. If you were a vampire, who would you avoid at all costs? You'd have to avoid the place overall because it's the cook. Look, he's adding garlic to the dishes. Now let's check how attentive you are. Now I'll be showing you some photos and you have to find out what's wrong or odd about them. Here's the first one. What do you say? Look, the ghost is plugged into a socket. Here's another one, again with a ghost. Are you attentive enough to notice what's wrong with this one? This ghost casts a shadow. You're doing great. Here's the next one. Keep your eyes wide open. What do you see? This vampire is tanned. Those guys never see sunlight, so they're very pale. Okay, the next one is just as tricky. We're in a house of a vampire. Can you notice what's wrong here? Look at the picture in the background. The vampire is on it, but vampires can't be photographed. Paige wasn't doing well in school, so she was grounded for all the winter holidays and forced to study. Her father would work the night shifts, so quite often he wasn't at home for a long time, so Paige would often sneak out. She was very careful so it would go unnoticed. But one early morning, the father came back and realized that Paige had sneaked out at night for a party. How did he figure it out? Look, Paige's car is the only one in the neighborhood that's not snow-covered. It means that she's recently used it. Mrs. Jones grounded her teenagers for throwing a party in the house the previous weekend. They weren't allowed to go out for 2 weeks and were under strong supervision. On Saturday, Mrs. Jones left for an hour to go grocery shopping. When she returned, she figured out that someone had sneaked out for that hour. Evie said, "I was watching Netflix." Dale said, "I was texting with a friend." Kaya said, "I just finished taking a shower." Who sneaked out? Kaya. If she had really just taken a shower, the bathroom mirror would be misted. But look, it's all clear, so she got an additional week at home. The next Saturday was supposed to be the last Saturday when the teenagers were grounded, and Mrs. Jones went shopping again. When she returned, she noticed dirt on the carpet in the hallway, so she knew right away that one of the teenagers sneaked out again. Evie said, "I was just reading in my room." Dale said, "I was gaming." Kaya said, "I was watching TikTok right here on the couch." Who sneaked out this time? This time, it must have been Dale. He has wet hair, which could be weird, but it's not. It's raining outside. It means he was outside and not just sitting in front of the computer. The next Saturday, only Evie wasn't grounded anymore. In a parallel universe, it's only allowed to have fun and eat candy. No one ever works or studies. Mrs. Relham came back home after a long and fun night at a club. Her 3 daughters were supposed to have fun too. She asked them what they had been doing. Hannah said, "I went to a party with my friends in that new dress you got me." Elle said, "I organized a sleepover. We were binge-watching shows and eating." Ava said, "I was gaming all day with my friends online." Still, Mrs. Relham could tell that one of her daughters lied and actually spent all day studying. Who was it? It was Hannah. Look, her dress is perfectly clean and still has a price tag on it. It doesn't seem like she wore it. As you remember, Elle had a sleepover with her friends, so her room is a complete mess right now. Now, she's going to a beach with her friends. She needs her sunglasses, sunscreen, and her swimsuit. Can you help her find them in the room? Yes, here they all are. Great job. A day after the beach, Elle is heading to her classmate's place for a party. She needs her dress, her handbag, and her lipstick. Can you help her find them? The dress, the handbag, and the lipstick. Did you find them all? Hannah was getting ready to meet her best friend for a picnic and didn't find some of her stuff. She remembered that she had lent her shoes, her hairdryer, and her backpack to her sister, Ava. Ava's room was no less of a mess than Elle's. Can you help Hannah find her stuff there? Here they are. Did you find everything she needed? Ava is getting ready for her volleyball practice. She needs her volleyball, her sneakers, and her hoodie. Where are they? They're all here. Esme was having a walk in the forest, and guess what? She didn't get lost. Here was her way home, but she decided to go and visit a witch because she had a deal for her. "I have a riddle. If you don't solve it, I'm taking your cat." The witch agreed. "When does New Year's Day come before Christmas Day?" The witch kept the cat. What was her response? New Year's Day comes before Christmas Day, literally every year. It's the holiday season, but some evil force is doing its best to spoil the mood. No one knows what this force is or why it's ruining the holidays. That's when Detective Robinson comes into play. Help him crack these riddles to save the day. The first task brings the detective to the North Pole. Someone has been stealing Santa's cookies, which he keeps in the reindeer stables. Santa suspects that the criminal is one of his elves who works there, but he's also worried because all of them are allergic to chocolate, and the disappearing cookies are chocolate chip ones. Detective Robinson gathers all the elves in one room. One of them keeps sticking out his tongue and then blushing and apologizing. The second elf has traces of something brown on his hands. And the third elf keeps smiling and giggling. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which one is the thief. The guy with the brownish spots on his fingers works in the stables, so no wonder his hands are dirty. Elves are cheerful creatures, which means that a smiling and giggling elf is not actually an unusual occurrence. But the first elf, his tongue is likely swollen as a result of an allergic reaction. Here's our cookie thief. 3 teenagers sneak into Santa's home. When he comes home after work, he sees 3 guilty-looking kids and his 20-foot-tall plastic Christmas tree lying on the floor. Santa knows that one of the kids must have climbed the tree, which made it fall over. He calls our detective. Chris immediately arrives. After looking at the kids attentively, he tells Santa who is guilty. Can you figure it out too? This guy with green hair looks as if he has some Christmas tree needles in his hair. But don't forget that the tree is plastic and can't lose any needles. The guy on the left has a star on his sweater that looks like the one at the top of the tree. But look, it's embroidered. Now, look at this girl with a pretty sparkly scarf. It looks suspiciously similar to tinsel decorating the Christmas tree. That's because it is tinsel. Busted! While the detective and Santa are away, solving the mystery of the overturned Christmas tree, someone steals all the presents from Santa's warehouse. After investigating the case, Detective Robinson has 3 suspects. All of them are elves. Each of the elves claims he was at home when the crime happened. The road is impossible to navigate on foot since it's been snowing for the last several hours. So, whoever did this had to use a sleigh. Can you help Chris figure out who the criminal is? This elf looks pretty angry, but it might be because his sleigh is broken. It means he couldn't have left his home. The sleigh of the elf on the right is covered with a thick layer of snow. It's unlikely that he used it recently. But look at the sleigh of the elf in the middle. There's snow under it. It means that the sleigh was parked near the house after the snow had already started falling. The elf wasn't at home, so why is he lying? One of Santa's elves put the key to the warehouse where Santa keeps presents into an empty bottle and plugged it with a cork. Detective Robinson needs to remove the key without breaking the bottle or pulling out the cork. How can he do it? Chris pushed the cork inside the bottle and shook the key out. Detective Robinson's next task is unusual to say the least. He needs to go to a haunted gingerbread mansion and face one of 3 horrifying monsters. They've taken up residence in the tasty but currently unapproachable house. Chris's potential opponents are 1. A 7-foot-tall reanimated Christmas turkey. It's threatening the detective with knives and looks extremely unfriendly. 2. A scorching hot eggnog monster that looks like a moving pile of slime. 3. Or a menacing-looking 8-foot-tall candy cane creature with long, sharp limbs? Help the detective make the right choice. The turkey can be very dangerous with those knives. The candy cane monster's limbs are too sharp to come close to it. As for eggnog, besides being very hot, it doesn't pose any serious danger. The detective just needs to push the monster towards the gingerbread wall and it will absorb the creature very fast. Santa has an unusual problem. One of his elves has just had his birthday, but Santa can't remember how old he's turned. The elf doesn't want to make the task easier. He says,
"The day before yesterday, I was 34. The next year, I'll be 37.
It sounds strange, but the elf hasn't made any mistakes in his calculations. Santa definitely needs Detective Robinson's help. The elf's birthday is on December 31st, and he's talking about it with Santa on January 1st. The day before his birthday, he was 34. The next day, he turned 35. A new year started the next day. This year, he's going to turn 36, and he will be 37 the following year. No day without an accident. One young elf decided to play a prank on Santa and hid the presents behind one of these 2 doors. Detective Robinson knows that one of the doors hides a very unfriendly dragon. and behind the other, there are presents. He needs to pick the right door, otherwise, the holiday is spoiled. There are 2 signs on the doors. One of them is a lie, and the other is true. On the first door, it's written, "The presents are here. The dragon is in the next room." The other sign says, "The presents and the dragon aren't in the same room." Can you help the detective figure out where the presents are? The presents are in the second room. The second statement is true, which means that the first one is false. After a long working day, Santa comes home and finds out that someone has broken all the glass decorations on his Christmas tree. He's shocked and upset. He calls Detective Robinson and tells him he has 2 suspects. One of them is one of his reindeer. Santa saw him near his house 2 hours ago. The other suspect is an elf Santa scolded. Look at the scene and help the detective determine the criminal. Look at the footprints the criminal left on the floor. They're too big and don't belong either to the deer or the elf. They actually look like they belong to Santa himself. But why would he need to frame his workers? This case makes Detective Robinson very suspicious. He starts observing Santa. Soon, Santa invites him for dinner and offers him 3 dishes to choose from. Since Chris is already wary of Santa, he examines the dishes very attentively. Look at them and say which dish is safe to eat. These chocolate chip cookies look fine until you notice that these chocolate chips are actually bugs. The steam rising over this bowl of soup is suspiciously green. This dish is likely poisoned. The only safe option is apples. Look at this tiny worm. If it can munch through the apple, it's most likely okay to eat. So, does it mean Santa wanted to get rid of Chris after the detective started to suspect something? This Santa can't be the real one. After Detective Robinson finds out that the mysterious evil force spoiling the holidays has been the fake Santa all along, he starts searching for the real Santa. Soon, he comes across a basement with 3 doors. Behind each of them, there's a man dressed as Santa and claiming to be the real one. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which Santa is real. It's Santa on the left! Hopefully you paid attention to the photo on the wall. It depicts Santa with his reindeer. If we compare the photo with all Santas, only the one on the left is absolutely the same. Allison has 2 coins which total 35 cents. If one of the coins isn't a dime, what are the 2 coins Allison has? Well, one is not a dime, but the other one is a dime, so Allison has a quarter and a dime. Let's start with a couple of simple teasers to warm up your brain for today's challenge. The day before yesterday was the 17th. What is the day after tomorrow? If the day before yesterday was the 17th, it means that today is the 19th, so the day after tomorrow is the 21st. Wendy's birthday was yesterday. She turned 16 years old, yet she's turning 17 this year. How is it possible? Wendy's birthday must be December 31st, and today must be January 1st, already the new year. A family is on vacation, carelessly chilling at the beach all day long. They were drinking their iced cocktails when suddenly, the youngest daughter, Odette, asked, "What day of the week is today?" No one knew. The father said, I only know what tomorrow is, neither Thursday nor Friday. The mother said, and I'm sure that yesterday wasn't Saturday or Sunday. And Adele, an older sister, said, today is definitely not Friday, not a Monday, and not a Tuesday. What day is today? Let's cross out all the impossible days. From Dad, we know that it's not Wednesday and not a Thursday. From Mom, we know that Sunday and Monday are also out. Adele said no to Tuesday and Friday, so it's a Saturday. Avery walked into a room and there were several doors there. On the first door, there was a sign saying, Lion's Den. On the second door, there was a sign saying, Mountaintop. On the third door, there was a sign with just a question mark. Still, Avery knew exactly where the third door was leading. Do you? The third door is the door Avery walked through, so it led back there. Once upon a time, there was a happy family living in a house in the shape of a dome. There was a mother, a father, their daughter, a chef, a maid, and a puppy named Oliver. One day, mother and father came back home and found out that Oliver had gone missing. They asked who was the last one to walk him, but everyone denied it. The daughter said, I was reading. The maid said, I was dusting the corners in the house. The chef said, I was baking an apple pie. Who is responsible for Oliver's disappearance? The maid. There's no corners in a dome-shaped house. Mrs. Lawrence has 3 daughters, Ava, Bethany, and Chloe. She's about to have another girl. What do you think she'll name her? Riley, Daphne, or Ava? Mrs. Lawrence seems to follow the alphabet, so I bet she'll name her 4th daughter Daphne. In the middle of a pond, there's a little island, and there's a butterfly sitting on a rock. If it swims north, it's 2 minutes to the mainland. If it swims east, it's 3 minutes to the mainland. If it swims south, it's 1 minute to the mainland. If it swims west, it's 5 minutes to the mainland. Which way should it swim? It shouldn't swim either way. Butterflies fly. Once upon a time, an evil witch kidnapped 3 women and turned them into rose bushes. One of the women begged the witch to see her husband before she left him forever. The witch agreed. She took the woman home for the night and returned her to her rosebush state the next morning. The woman had warned her husband, and the husband was following them to rescue his wife. Look at these 3 identical rose bushes. Which one is his wife? The rosebush that was his wife doesn't have any of the night's dew on the leaves. A married couple went on vacation. They locked up their house and gave the keys to a neighbor, along with instructions on what to control and maintain in the house. Just in case, the wife hid her jewelry in a safe place. While they were on vacation, there was a power outage in the house. There was no electricity for a couple of days, until the neighbor came back to check the house. The neighbor cleaned everything up by the time the couple got back. The wife couldn't find her jewelry. The neighbor swore that he didn't touch it. Where did the jewelry go? The wife hid them in a freezer. After the power outage, everything melted and the neighbor threw out all the food and jewelry as well by mistake. Now, a tricky question for you. What is the difference between electricity and lighting? You have to pay for electricity. Anna is bilingual. She speaks English and German. She had 4 exams to write: English, math, history, and geography. She wasn't prepared for them well, so she wrote all of them in German. All teachers returned her tests because they couldn't understand anything and suggested she write the test on a different day, in English. Still, one teacher could understand what she had written and gave her an F. Which teacher was it? It's the math teacher. Mathematics is all numbers, and they're the same in most languages, so the teacher could understand everything and check the exam. It's an early Monday morning. William and Daniel are both driving to work. Who is not being smart? Daniel. He hasn't fastened his seatbelt. It's not safe. James and Delaney are getting ready for a big family barbecue in the evening. James is cooking and Delaney is busy with all the decorations. Who is not smart? James. He's cooking in the direct sun and there's milk standing right there. It'll go bad very fast. Riley and Tessa are doing house chores. Riley is vacuum cleaning the house and Tessa is outside shoveling the snow. Which one of them is in danger? Tessa, look, she's standing right below big icicles hanging off the roof. Every day, a woman was seen crossing the border carrying bags of sand on a motorbike. After some time, the border police got suspicious and stopped her. But they found she had only sand in those bags, so they let her go. What was the woman smuggling across the border? The answer is right in front of their nose. She's been smuggling motorbikes. Jonas lives on a farm. He just bought 7 horses. He's riding one of the horses, leading the rest to his farm. On the way, he's counting the horses he has, but he can only see 6. Problem, he paid for 7. He takes off, walks away, and counts the horses again. 7. Everything is correct. He hops up on a horse and keeps riding home. Midway, he's counting the horses again. 6. What do you think is his problem? Jonas always forgets to count the horse he's sitting on. Grace and Hope are twins, and they like to mess with people. Grace lies on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Hope lies on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. One day, you walk up to them and ask what day it is. Both of them say, "Yesterday was one of my lying days." Which day is it? It can't be a Sunday, because they both say the truth one Sunday, and someone is obviously lying now. So one of them is lying, and one of them is telling the truth. So it's either the first day Grace lies, or the first day Hope lies. So it's either Monday or Thursday. It can't be Monday because in this case, both would lie saying yesterday was a lying day. So it's Thursday. Grace is telling the truth, and Hope is lying. Ben has an equal number of sisters and brothers, but each sister has twice more brothers as sisters. How many brothers and sisters are there in the family? There are 4 brothers and 3 sisters. So every boy has 3 brothers and 3 sisters. Every girl has 4 brothers and 2 sisters. Time to check your attention and logical thinking skills. Do you have an eye for detail? Then you'll make a great detective. One day, you go to a restaurant to get something to eat. But as soon as you enter, you hear loud, angry voices. A waitress and a visitor are arguing. "You also ordered chicken wings, and you have to pay for this dish." It's the waitress. The visitor looks tired and sleepy. "But I didn't. I haven't been here longer than an hour. Yeah, I did doze off, but it doesn't mean I don't remember my order." You step in. "You know very well that this man couldn't have ordered chicken wings," you say. "How did you figure it out?" You noticed on the wall it says, "The kitchen works till 1 p.m. It's 3 p.m. now. The man claims he's been here for an hour. It means he came after the kitchen had been closed and couldn't have ordered anything to eat. Nathan came to visit his friend Zachary, who worked in a museum. "Look what I've got! A priceless manuscript that was written more than 1,000 years ago." Zachary looked through the manuscript and realized his friend had been fooled. Does anything in this text strike you as strange? If we talked about the dates before the Common Era, they should be in reverse order. The original text would read, King Alfred V ruled the country from 1320 to 1290 BCE. A man called the police late at night. He said, "I've heard a very loud noise coming from the house next door. I'm afraid to go there alone, but what if something bad has happened?" When the police arrived, they saw that the entrance door was open. They ran inside and found the house owner, Mr. Anderson, on the floor of his bedroom. He was tied and moaning in pain. He said he had been in bed reading a book, and then a man in a black mask broke into his room and hit him on the head. Then he tied Mr. Anderson, took all his money and other valuables, and disappeared. The police officers didn't believe the man. Why? Look at his bed. There isn't even a wrinkle on the covers. It's unlikely that the thief made the bed after tying Mr. Anderson. It can only mean the man is lying. Evelyn wants to visit one unusual restaurant, but to get there, one must know the password. The girl hides around the corner to figure it out. She sees a man come up to the security guard. The guard says, 12. The man answers, 6, and is allowed to come in. Then a young woman approaches the security guard. He says, 6, and she answers, 3. Evelyn is sure she's figured out the pattern. She comes up to the security guard. He says, 4. The girl answers, 2, and isn't allowed to enter. Can you figure out why? The password is always different. It's the number of letters in the word the security guard says. The word 4 has 4 letters. That's what Evelyn should have answered. A manager of the most luxurious sea resort in the area called the police. She said someone had stolen a set of very expensive monogrammed bed linen. 3 guests left the hotel that morning: Mr. Sam Taylor, Mrs. Amanda Martin, and Mr. Michael Smith. The police detained one of the guests and indeed found the bed linen in their suitcase. How did the detectives figure out who the thief was? As you can see, the hotel's name is the Morning Star. This means the monogram on the bed linen is MS. The only person with the same initials is Mr. Michael Smith, so he can use the bed linen pretending to have ordered it with his monogram to show off. 2 cars are driving through the city. They both started their journey at the same time. The green car is moving at a speed of 30 miles per hour. The yellow car is faster. Its speed is 50 miles per hour. And still, at one point, the green car comes across the yellow car. How is it possible? The cars are traveling in opposite directions. Aaron is a detective who has to work undercover at a luxurious resort. The police suspect that the hotel owners are involved in some shady deals. Aaron's task is to sneak into the manager's office and check his documents, but the door is locked, and there's a combination lock. Aaron has to figure out the password. The detective knows he needs to solve a math riddle, and the answer will be the code. As soon as he punches in the code, the door opens. What is the correct number? It's 30. There are no mathematical symbols at the end of the first and second lines. It means the whole thing looks like this. A very famous painting disappeared from a museum. Later, the police managed to find it, but there was a problem. They found not one, but 3 paintings. Only one of them is original. The others are just copies. Can you help the police figure out which is the original painting? It's the one with the brown frame. Take a look. All frames in the museum are made in the same style. Now, you've got accepted to the best school of witchcraft and wizardry. One of the best classes you have to attend is about transforming into animals. There are 3 professors who teach this class. Each of them specializes in transforming into a certain animal. Look at your professors and try to figure out what kind of animal each of them turns into. Have you noticed that the first professor has a forked tongue? He must transform into a snake. The second professor has a lion's tail. It must be the animal she transforms into. And the third professor has bear claws. He must turn into a grizzly bear. Maria was a princess and the heir to the throne. One day, an evil witch lured the girl into a magic forest. Maria got lost. Luckily, she had an enchanted pendant given to her by one of the king's magicians.
"It will help you find your way back home if you ever get lost," he said.
Maria tapped the pendant, and 3 spirits appeared in front of her. The first spirit was an owl, the second was a butterfly, and the third spirit was a hawk. Unfortunately, only one of them knew the way back to the castle, and if Maria chose to follow the wrong spirit, she would find herself even further away from home. Can you help the princess pick the correct spirit animal? Have you noticed the banners in the throne room? There was a butterfly on each of them. It means the butterfly is the official symbol of the kingdom. Maria should follow the butterfly spirit. A man lives in a high-rise apartment building. He has an unusual habit related to the evening elevator ride after he returns home from work. If it's been raining, he always takes the elevator straight to his 17th floor. If it's sunny, but there's someone else in the elevator with him, he always gets straight to the 17th floor. But if it hasn't been raining and he's alone in the elevator, he takes the elevator to the 11th floor and walks up the stairs the rest of the way. Can you figure out why? The man is very short. He can only reach the button for the 11th floor. If someone else is in the elevator, he asks them to press the button for his floor. And when it's rainy, he uses his umbrella to press the button. Johnny, a party clown, is carrying 3 pieces of gold. Each of these pieces weighs 2 pounds. While walking, the guy comes to a bridge. It has a sign saying the bridge can only hold a maximum of 180 pounds. Johnny weighs 176 pounds. Johnny reads the sign and still safely crosses the bridge with all the gold. How is it possible? Johnny is a clown, so he knows how to juggle. While walking across the bridge, he juggled the gold, keeping one piece in the air.